Hey, KB here, and if you don't like disco, go ahead and turn away. If you do like disco, then you are in the right place because I am here with the man who literally wrote the book on it, Mr. Frank DeCaro. Frank, thank you so much for joining me today.
I am thrilled to be here with you and to talk about a topic that's very near and dear to my wardrobe. So I'm very happy to talk disco with you because if anything deserves to have a bright light shined on it for its 50th birthday, it's disco because it really is. It's something that has not been given the respect it deserves and is now getting it, and it deserves it.
Absolutely. Well, and usually on my channel here, because I literally was more of an alternative rock and roll girl. I ran a radio station. I was an MTV VJ. But obviously, people know you from The Daily Show, and people know you from your show on Sirius XM. But disco, literally the book, folks, it's called Disco: Music, Movies, and Mania Under the Mirror Ball. Disco has been your passion for quite a while.
Well, I was trying to figure out what to do. I'd written a book on the history of drag and show business.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the people I interviewed said, it is so nice that you're shining a light on something that has never gotten the respect it deserves. And this was at the point where drag had reached, ultimate, the heights of it. Now I think we're a little post that now. But I mean, it was like everyone was talking about drag.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me when I was looking for my next book to write, well, what else do I love that has not been given the respect it deserves? And I thought, I've loved disco since I was I was a teenager going to teen discos on Sunday afternoon. And then your father would pick you up and embarrass you. And go, hey, Frankie, come on, the car is waiting for you, and you'd be like,
Let's go.
Great. So that literally happened. But I would go to the Strawberry Patch Disco as a teenager in Wayne, New Jersey, that hotbed of glamour. It's not glamorous. But I thought, well, disco is really something that's there. And I also noticed, especially during COVID, how back it was. I mean, it was like there were articles being written how ironic that at a time where none of us can leave our houses, disco is having a moment. And it was true because so many songs you're like, well, that could have been written and recorded in 1978. And you'd hear it, but it would be Pink or it would be Lady Gaga. Or it would be someone or Doja Cat or Dua Lipa, particularly Dua Lipa, amazing. Or Kylie Minogue would put an album out called Disco.
Right.
And right now, Harry Styles' most recent album it's something it's like Kissing All the Time Disco sometimes. It's something along those lines. But it's like disco's right there in the title, and no one's cuter than Harry Styles.
I love Harry.
So, so it's kind of in the zeitgeist again, except now instead of clubs, you hear it at the grocery store when you're getting your linguine,
well, and that's the thing about it is, like I said, I was definitely much more of a rock and roll girl because for me disco was when I was still pretty young. Like I'm definitely heard it all the time and remember my parents having parties, but I wasn't old enough to be clubbing quite yet during the 70s and everything, right? So but obviously it was the soundtrack to a lot of my life growing up, and so these songs I love. I don't understand how people can't like disco because it's fun, it makes you move. Like even just before we were doing this interview, I was getting ready and I was listening to stuff, and and so Donna Summer came on Last Dance. I remember being at the roller skating rink at the Hi-Hat Rollaway, and I was like grooving and Last Dance, last chance. And now I had no dates or anything like that, but I loved going to the roller skating rink. And so disco is just so fun. Like it makes you feel good. Rose Royce, Car Wash, that is my karaoke song, Frank. That is my karaoke song, and I kill it. So,
I'm sure. A little bit you just did of Last Dance was fantastic.
Well, thank you. But so to me, I don't understand how people don't get it. It's fun. It makes you move your butt. But let's just discuss this. We are going to get into your top 5 favorite disco songs. But the whole thing about disco sucks. The whole thing where I believe it was Dodger Stadium, right? And
it was Comiskey Park in Chicago.
That's right, Comiskey Park. But so a DJ decided disco sucked and they wanted to smash all the disco records, but it wasn't really about just the music, right? Because they were actually, what's happening, it was people were mad at the people making those music and
Exactly.
and making the hits, right? That's really what Disco Sucks is about, right?
Yeah, they don't want to admit it. And I interviewed some of the people behind that disco demolition night, as
Hmm.
it was called, which was 1979, July
Okay.
of 1979. And what they did was they said, if you could come to this baseball game,
Hmm.
it was the Sox versus whatever the Detroit team was. Anyway,
Yeah.
but they said if you bring a record, you can get in for 99 cents, which was like a I think they were 98.7 was their call
Right.
numbers, and so you could get in. And
Right.
so yeah, so this DJ who had been fired because or left because wherever he was working before had switched to a disco format, and he had a chip
Oh,
on
so
his
he
shoulder.
was like a rock DJ and
Yeah,
then got
so
lost the
they
job,
said
right?
we've got to do it. But if you look at the footage, it looks like a MAGA rally. It's horrifying.
Yeah.
And I watched a wonderful documentary, and somebody interviewed who became a house DJ, which is what disco became after
Hmm.
Disco Sucks. It became house music.
Hmm.
Um, he said it was a racist, homophobic book burning. That was his quote. And if you look at it, I'm going to give them the I'm not going to give them the benefit of the doubt because I do think that's what it was.
Hmm.
But I do feel bad because you know what? Straight white guys were left behind by disco. It was the first time that it was not about them. It was not about straight white rock and rollers.
Hmm.
It was about people of color, the queer community, and very strong women.
Hmm.
And you're singing "I Will Survive," not without you, basically,
Right.
parentheses, as opposed to, oh, I need a man to complete me.
Right. Prior to that, it's Rolling Stones. It's these guys really
And they're all
commanding
good
the
and we all
presence.
love them,
Yeah.
but they didn't want to make room for the disco people. And also,
Right.
straight guys now had to go to the gym. They had to dress better. They had, it really was
Right.
also a
Right.
shift. But I think it was more that the person singing was a black woman, or as I like to say, Sylvester was one of the greatest artists ever.
Uh-huh.
Sylvester, all you need to know about Sylvester is not only did he have this amazing falsetto, but he was on with Joan Rivers because
Uh-huh.
he and Joan had done early AIDS benefits. And
Yes.
Sylvester, she said, well, you're a drag queen. He said, I'm not a drag queen. I'm Sylvester. And that was the thing. And that's the most
Yeah.
modern thing ever because it's sort of saying, are you a man or a woman? I'm me,
I'm me.
and
Right.
so and this is, 50 years ago.
Right.
So it was very pioneering to have someone like that.
Uh-huh.
And he also said Donna Summer thinks she's the queen of disco, but I'm the queen of disco. Okay. 50
Oh,
years ago, he's on TV saying things
okay.
like this.
Okay.
And so it was very pioneering. But
Yeah.
a guy listening to Bob Seger is going to be very put out because,
You're right. It's crazy that
that's
you
not
mentioned Bob
that's why
Seger.
when he sang that song, don't try to take me, he sings, don't try to take me to a disco.
Disco,
You'll
yeah,
never
the old
even
time
get
rock
me
and
out on the
roll, right.
floor. That Bob Seger song, and it was true. It wasn't about them. They were being left behind
Right.
and they couldn't handle it. That
And
was
they
the
couldn't
problem.
handle it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was very problematic. And, they decided that Disco Demolition Night and it said we're going to end disco once and for all was the
Once and for all.
rallying cry, which they're wrong. And it didn't work out that way. I mean, but it did have a very chilling effect on the music industry for a time. Right. And those performers could not get the work that they were enjoying for the late 70s. I mean, people worked and women could go on the road with a backing track and make money by singing their, I Will Survive or Don't Leave Me This
Right.
Way,
These
Grace
anthems.
Jones or, and so it was a very much about gay liberation, women's liberation, equal rights for people of color. It was about a lot of things coming together and who's left out? Straight white guys. So I get why they were pissed off, but tough,
right. But tough
and also it's what do they say? It's not pie, there's room for everybody. So
there is room for everybody.
But anyways, but they managed to make it so that it was very uncool to like disco.
Right.
And then they didn't tell us that new wave rock was basically disco for depressed people.
Right.
I mean, Depeche Mode is depressed disco. And and or disco with a little something on its
Right,
mind
right,
more than
right.
just
Gary
let's
Newman,
party
some
all
of
night.
this, yeah, like a lot of, yes, exactly. Obviously, it lives on, and like you said, with house music, we've got like what Frankie Knuckles and these guys that wouldn't have
Yeah.
been there without, disco, and we wouldn't. I mean, obviously, when you think of a lot of the music that's popular today, you still really hear the disco influences and things, and so obviously, it doesn't suck, and I feel like like you can't, yeah, like I was saying before, you put that music on, if you can't move to that, something's wrong with you, man.
No.
Something is wrong with you. So I do want to
Oh,
hear what your top 5 favorite disco songs are of all time, because if somebody were making a playlist, I feel like they want to know what Frank DeCaro believes are the
yes.
most essential disco songs that they need to know.
Well, I tried to pick songs that I get dressed to because I heard a study that says if you put on music that is very like if you put on really good disco music while you're getting dressed, you look better when you leave the house because you've just got a better outfit on. So I like that idea. I also tried to pick songs that I mean they're well known, but they're not maybe the most well known song,
Okay.
you know.
Okay.
But because I think enough people know, yes, of course you need I Will Survive and
Of
Don't Leave Me
course.
This Way and Last Dance. Last Dance has to be the last song on the mixtape.
Exactly. And you need the BG, you need Staying Alive, and you
Yes.
need all that,
You
right?
start with Staying Alive, you end with Last Dance, and everything in between you can go crazy. But yes, you absolutely need those two in there.
Right.
So I wanted to put together a list. And should we do it backwards and count
Yes,
down
we
to
go
number
from
one?
5 to 1.
Okay.
So number 5.
So number 5 is a song called Cherchez la Femme by Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah band. And it was early-ish in disco because disco really started in 1970. There
Right.
was, which people don't think. They think it was the Bee Gees and Saturday Night Fever.
Hmm.
But it was by the time Saturday Night Fever got there, disco was almost on the wane. You know, it was
Right.
it was it
Right.
was
Right, because
1977.
once things get to the mainstream and by
Yeah,
the time it takes a movie, right, the moment has maybe already peaked.
yeah. They
Right.
thought, well, we're done. But it of course made it a worldwide pastime, and it's particularly here in America.
Right.
So but 1976, they record this album that sounds as modern now or as contemporary now as ever. And in those days, the phrase that Dr. Buzzard's original Savannah band used was
Uh-huh.
mulatto music. And we don't really like that word,
Because
obviously,
I am one.
but it but it is multiculti. Is maybe that's a better
Because I
way to
am
say it.
one of those mixed
But
breed.
it was beyond gender, beyond race, beyond sexual orientation. It was music for everybody, and everybody looked. What mattered was that you looked gorgeous. It didn't matter the color
Right.
of your skin or who you were going home with that night, and that was kind of their thing. But it was also important because it was a throwback. Cherchez la Femme and that whole first album that they
Right.
did was a throwback to the and a nod to the nostalgia that was rampant in the 70s. There was a lot. It was the
Okay.
first time. I mean, Bette Midler's recording 40s Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy, and here's this band comes along, and they're really an album. Their music, Dr. Buzzard's music, was very much something you would have heard in the era of the Zoot Suit or in a big dance hall in the 30s, and yet it was this disco music that brought in all sorts of Latin flavors and
Right.
Afro-Cuban stuff, everything all together. And so this song Cherchez la Femme is just so beautiful. But everybody knows the song because it begins with the line Tommy
Tommy
Mottola
Mottola.
lives
Right.
on the road. So I asked them, I said, did my first question when I interviewed the lead singer, Corey Gill,
Yeah.
who's one of the most adorable, wonderful people and talented singers you ever want to meet. And she said, no, it wasn't about Tommy Mottola. He was a producer and we just liked him. So we changed it. Said, I don't even remember who the name was when we wrote the lyrics. And they just threw it. I said, because I said, did he really live on the road? Had he lost his lady 2 months ago? Was that all
Right.
true? And she said, no.
Right. For people who don't know, Tommy Mottola is like this major record executive that like is very, very well known. And so same thing when I was like, wait, I heard this song. I was like, Tommy
Wasn't
Mottola.
he with
Wait,
Mariah
what?
Carey? He was with Mariah Carey for
Yeah.
a while, I
Yeah.
think.
I think so.
And,
I think so. Like, yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah, it
anyway,
was
but he's been immortalized there, and it was a sort of just a little
right.
thank you to him for all that he'd done for them. But it's the interesting thing is you listen to that album now, and you appreciate it all,
Uh-huh.
Even more than you did 50 years ago. And this is
Okay.
2026 is 50 years since it came out,
Uh-huh.
and it's timeless. It's not so much. It's not a throwback. It's not nostalgia. It's just this timeless, gorgeous, lush, nightclubby record. And it's pretty great. And they went on to become Kid Creole and the Coconuts. I mean, they had careers other
Oh.
after that.
Oh, I did not know that.
Dr. Buzzard became them and some of the
I
key
did not
members.
know that.
The thing that was weird to me was Corey Day, who does this amazing vocal. She's the lead vocal.
Yeah.
They were looking for a male singer and they couldn't find someone they liked, and they were running out of time. The studio was costing a fortune. They're like, Corey, you sing it.
Just do it.
She did an amazing job. She knocked it out of the park. So,
all right, very nice, very nice. So that is
okay. That's number 5.
Your number 4 disco song is
"Born to Be Alive" by Patrick Hernandez. Now that is my go-to get dressed to song. Okay,
this is
yes,
such a jam.
So
this is a perfect getting ready to go out song.
Oh yeah, because you're born to be alive, and you're just going to put on a cute alive outfit and go and do it. But it was a worldwide hit. This is what I thought was amazing. He racked up. He never had another song that did as well, even though the other music is good, but it didn't chart the way this did. He got 52 gold and platinum records for this song. Okay, around the world. 52 was, I don't know where you hang them all, but good, but God bless, good for him. He was a French singer, and it was considered Euro disco, even though it's in English.
Yeah.
And so Patrick Hernandez is that song, Born to Be Alive. And it's just, that's one of those, I dare you not to dance to this.
Right.
That's one of those, from the moment it starts, you're like, well, guess we got to dance now.
Yes, we gotta dance now. I added it to my jump rope
hell yes.
workout list because I have like a disco playlist, and because you literally, and there's so many parts to sing a lot. Born to be alive, you know what I mean? And then the do like born, like it's like you can't not move.
Yeah, and you'd be that was the whole thing about the disco sucks thing. It's sort of like why keep that out of your life?
Right. Why not have joy?
What are you gonna? You can't dance to Bob Seger. You can't exercise to Bob Seger.
No.
It's
as much as I love Bob Seger. I actually do love Bob Seger, but I
do
can't.
too. Well, see, that's the thing. Where somebody pointed out a great thing. They said now that you can download anything as opposed to having to go to a specialty record store, you take your allowance, you get on the bus, you go into New York City, you find the record store in a dangerous neighborhood, you buy the record. Now you just you hit download,
right? So
you can like anything, and you should like anything and everything as long as you're discerning about what's good in the genre. You should like every genre.
Exactly. As I was joking about 100%, and as I was joking about karaoke, literally my other song is a Bob Seger song, We've Got Tonight. Like I actually love that song.
My decrepit mother, my mother would be 107 if she were alive now.
Bless her.
Yeah, she had me. She was 40 something when I was born. But she liked that. Still the Same. That was the song.
Still the Same is great.
Still the Same. I love that record. So even though she, was listening to music in the 20s, she's still
on the gramophone with the.
Yes, no, she did. But anyway. All right. So my number 3 song is from 1977.
Okay.
And my favorite thing about it is that the more you find out about it, the more you're like, I didn't know that. There was a lot of I didn't know that about this.
Right.
So it's a song called Supernature.
Okay.
And it's by a French musician named Cerrone. Okay, that's 2 French things, which I didn't realize when I was putting it together. But Cerrone was his name. And what I didn't know was Lena Lovitch, who was she did a song called Lucky Number, and she just was on tour last summer. We all got to see her for the first. I never saw her before, and I
My Lucky Numbers one or something like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, she wrote the lyrics to it, and
really?
I didn't know, but it's about. It was inspired by the island of Dr. Moreau, so there's our literary reference. But it's the idea that if you pump the earth full of chemicals, you'll end up with this nightmarish thing. So it was kind of the first taste of dystopian disco.
I was going to say, because there is a certain strain of disco that goes sort of otherworldly.
Right, and there was space disco too. Let's not let's not forget Star Wars Cantina Band by Miko. Oh my God,
it's good though. So good.
Yeah, no, it's just you want R2D2 and C3PO.
Totally.
Your backup singers.
I want some Han Solo, if we're honest.
Yes. But anyway, so Supernature. And what I love about it, and what I think what other countries who didn't have the disco sucks thing do right.
Uh-huh.
It was one of the key songs at the Paris Summer Olympics in 2024. They had an entire orchestra rather than just a synthesizer playing it in front of the Eiffel Tower. I'm getting goosebumps just saying it.
Right.
It was this incredible thing. So it's sort of, you have this big full circle moment for disco where disco's front and center at this worldwide, all the eyes of the world are watching. And when you choose, well, what's your French thing? It's a French disco song.
It's a French disco song. And you said he actually performed it. Is he still alive, Cerrone?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was there. He's still doing stuff. What I thought was funny, I tried to interview him for my book. And a year later, after the book came out, I get a letter. Mr. Cerrone would love to speak to you. I was like, I wrote to you a year ago. It's like you can't. The book's done. It's in the stores. It's like, yeah. But I was in touch with them, but I think it's amazing that there it was on the world stage,
right?
Almost, it was 47 years after it had come out, and it sounded, and with it a full orchestra as opposed to a synthesizer, it sounded even more incredible. And
very cool.
That Cerrone's Super Nature. Oh, and Erasure, whom I adored,
right,
and always and still do. They did a cover version of it, and in 1989, that's not that easy to find, really.
Right.
But it was quite amazing. And I think in the disco book that I wrote, I talked about how these artists were embracing their inner divas in the new wave period, and and making these diva songs their own. And and so Erasure did that with Supernature and other things too.
So, Frank, what is your second favorite disco song of all time?
Of all time. All right. Is what I call the gay national anthem. People want to say it's I Will Survive. It's like, no, it's not.
Right.
I love I Will Survive, but it's not the gay national anthem. The gay national anthem is You Make Me Feel Mighty Real by Sylvester. And
that song is
guy
amazing.
Yes, it's a fantastic song. And what I didn't know was it was the B-side to Dance Disco Heat. It was a double A side, basically, because Dance Disco Heat is the other one vying for the gay national anthem. But You Make Me Feel Mighty Real is sexy and ageless, and it's I love that it's been used for everything from a drag race, RuPaul's Drag Race lip sync, to a Starbucks commercial to promote pumpkin spice. Okay, that's what I think is hilarious. It's sort of, pumpkin spice is back. Let's do it with You Make Me Feel Mighty Real.
Right.
And they do. But it's from 1978. It's in the Library of Congress as one of the greatest songs ever, as a lot of these songs.
Is that right?
Which people like to pretend that they're not worthy of that, but they are. YMCA is in there. Which
been co-opted, however.
It's been co-opted. It's not a gay song. Even the guy who helped write it said, that's not a gay song. Give me a break. Okay. Anyway, you're not allowed, you're not allowed to say it's I will go on the record. It is not a gay song. But anyway, so You Make Me Feel Mighty Real. It's with Sylvester, this sort of as he's someone who would say, he told Joan Rivers, I'm not a drag queen, I'm Sylvester. But he was non-binary at a time where we didn't have those words.
Okay.
He had backup singers, one of whom was Martha Wash, who's went on to her own amazing career. They were called 2 Tons of Fun before they became the Weather Girls, because they were these big, beautiful women.
Rude.
Hey, they named themselves 2 Tons of Fun.
Did they really?
They were big. They were
big, but still, that's so rude.
I know. But if you can't, I say this as someone who's, I do the Zep Bound every week. If you can't fat shame, what can you do anymore? There's just no fun. There's no fun. I do it to myself. I do it to others. Because look at these chins. If anyone can do a fat shaming joke, I think it should be me. I think I'm allowed. But no, but they were fabulous. What are you going to do? You're not going to call them fat. You're going to call them fabulous. But they were the 2 Tons of Fun. And they're so good. What's interesting, recently, and by recently I mean the last 2 or 3 years, they released a live recording. It's Sylvester live at the San Francisco Opera House. And it is so eye-opening. And they open with Body Strong, but it's so funny because he comes out they're singing and doing this whole thing, and you can feel the audience getting, you're just listening, but you can
Right.
hear that the audience is getting more and more excited. And he comes out, and whatever he does, and he says, well, we fucked that up. And which makes me laugh that that's been preserved for all time on this live recording. Because I guess he came out at the wrong time. Drag queens are nuts. I mean, I love them, but the drag queens come out when they're ready.
Yes,
it doesn't matter if the song asks
it's like, girl, right, when we're ready. But that song is fantastic. Like that, your number one is yet to be revealed, but I would say You Make Me Feel is a very strong candidate for number one, because there's literally no way the dance floor is not just completely swamped when this song comes on. Like, I can't even imagine in the heyday of Studio 54 or whatever, like the way this must have sounded, because it's about that bass line. It's so sexy. It's just so primal. And I would have loved to have been on the dance floor listening to this at the time when it was peaking. Like, it must have just been unbelievable.
Well, I think another testament to it, not only because it's a great dance song, is that Sandra Bernhard, of all people, in her recording career, did a cover version of it, and she recast it as this sort of coming out story about a guy who moves to San Francisco to become himself, to become Mighty Real. It's a bit of a ode to forbidden love, and it came out at a time where we were still dealing with the in the front and center of the AIDS crisis. And that's the thing about disco. Disco is there when you want to celebrate, but it's also there when you need to pick me up. And it's kind of, that's why it was back during COVID, and we needed it.
Right. But that's why there is a certain amount of sentimentality with this too, because people do think of loved ones lost.
Yeah, because I dedicated my disco book I said, to those who dance to remember and those who remember to dance. And I mean, I meant that, thinking of those folks, and also for people like me who are like not young anymore, but we're just like, I still dance. I dance all over this place.
Yeah, I dance.
And you should let them take you to the grave with one, just with your hand
for
up,
sure,
with Travolta,
for sure.
Let that stick out of the ground from the, when they plant you.
Yeah, 100%.
Keep going till you're gone. All right, you want to know my number one?
I do want to know your number one disco song of all time.
All right. Next year will be its 50th anniversary. It was written by Giorgio Moroder, who won an Oscar for his dancey disco music that he wrote for films, by an amazing producer, Pete Bellotte, who I interviewed for the book, and Miss Donna Summer. And it is I Feel Love is the song. And I always loved it. But the more you find out about it, the more interesting it is. It was on an album that was supposed to be, here's our 50s song, here's our 60s song, here's our 70s song, it's the last track on this album, and it doesn't sound like any of the other songs on the album. And it is supposed to sound like the future. And 50 years later, it still sounds like the future.
It does.
And what I love about it is, if you don't believe me, Brian Eno, amazing musician, ran into a recording session with David Bowie and said, this record is the sound of the future. And that was 50 years ago. And Bowie was like, yep. And if you listen to it, it's as amazing as ever. And it did something. When I was talking to Pete Bellotte in the interview, he said an amazing thing. He said, it's a relentless computer synthesizer.
Right.
That will play from now until the end of time. It is just going to play. And then they layered over it Donna Summer's ethereal vocals.
Yeah.
But he said the computer part of it doesn't care if you live or die. It could be like AI taking over.
Exactly. That repetitive beat in the background, and you hear it in all kinds of space age movies and all this stuff. Like it's like this techno heartbeat in a way.
Yeah, like it's just going to be out there. It's as if it's projecting into space, and it's going to play until the planet is gone. And you can come in and sing over it if you want. And then Donna comes in with these ethereal vocals.
Right.
And makes it sort of cold and sexy at the same time, which, in a differently than Love to Love You Baby, which was her first hit. And
that's very sensual.
Really lots of orgasms and things. But this is kind of this amazing thing. I also thought what was wild about it is it was a B-side. It was the B-side to a ballad called "Can't We Just Sit Down and Talk It Over," which is an okay song,
But a
but it's
terrible title.
not
As a
I
former
Feel Love.
DJ, it's a terrible title for a song.
But it's also in the Library of Congress, which I love. And also,
Okay.
I mean, if David Bowie thinks it sounded like the future 50 years ago, and Sam Smith can record it, and then it's the Christmas song Target used,
Right.
age 5 or 6
Right.
years ago, whatever it was, and so his cover, and then Beyonce uses pieces of it for a
Right.
song called Summer Renaissance on her Renaissance album, where she thanked the house music pioneers and the dance music pioneers.
Right.
If it's good enough for David Bowie and Beyonce, you know what? It's good enough for me. I think that's why it should be the #1 disco song of all time. And I just love a computer that doesn't care, because it's true.
It's true. Well,
AI
that's
is
the
going to
whole.
take over, and with the new national anthem in America will be "I Feel Love," and it will just, that computer will be on a stamp.
Exactly. Well, and I love it too, because it's a song that, like, no matter where you jump in the song, you get a vibe, right? And but it does sort of build, and at the same time, she has this, like you just said, it's distant and it's close and sensual at the same time. Like, there is this very interesting sort of vibe with the song. I love to dance, and that's the whole thing. Like, no matter how much I am a rock and roll girl, if I hear "I Feel Love," I can't not move. So there is something about these songs that, on a very somatic level, like, disco does hit differently. And again, I guess that's why some people were resistant to it, because they're a bad lay. I don't know. They don't feel it. I guess.
There's a T-shirt that says "Disco doesn't suck, you just can't dance," and I think that's they say you dance, you can't dance, you can't woo, it's just
Right.
you got to know how to dance. But
Right.
it's so funny. So I mentioned my mom, my decrepit dead mother now. Well, she's in an urn. I love her. We know where she is at all times. She's
It's
in an
all
urn.
times.
But she would say, and she got the line wrong, but we ended up using her version. She'd say, "Shake it like your mama taught you." So I shake it like my mama taught me. And I don't know what that's not the real line, but that's the way she saw that on some commercial, and
I love it. I love it.
That was a good idea. And so she was very much like, you should be able to dance. And my husband says, he said that was one of the first things he was attracted, that even though I was a bigger person, I could really dance. So it's
nice.
Yeah, I love it. And it feels good. Even if you're terrible, do it anyway.
People shouldn't be so self-conscious. I will say that, like, people often think, like, oh, I don't want to dance because everybody is going to look at me and laugh. No, I might notice you for 2 seconds, but I'm in my own world when I'm on the dance floor, or I'm with my friends or whomever I'm with or whatever. Like, I'm so not worried about whether or not you over there are like, look, you're on the dance floor. I'm not looking at you. I wish people were less self-conscious.
Yeah, no, I think it's funny though, because my personality is when people will say dance like nobody's watching. I was like, no, I dance like everybody's watching.
I want everybody.
I dance like, I dance like I'm in a spotlight.
I dance like I'm right, exactly. I'm auditioning. Are you fucking kidding?
Exactly. It's my chorus line fantasy from when I was 12. It was
oh God, dance 10, looks 3.
Yeah.
Oh, chorus line. God, I hope I get it. I hope I get it. God, I hope I get it. So
and
good.
then the 80s was, I hope I don't get it. And
I know. Well, listen, Frank, thank you so much for giving us this primer on the 5 best disco songs. So if people want to know more, what is the deal with your book? Because it is on Amazon, but it's kind of pricey, if I'm not going to lie.
No, don't. Okay, this is and I love you, Amazon, and stuff, but I will say this: what you need to do is, if you go to Frank DeCaro Show, it's on Instagram. Okay. There are links to there, and you can get autographed copies, or you can go to BarnesandNoble.com. They still have copies.
But thank you so much for giving us this essential list of the very best disco songs, Frank. You are awesome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Right back at you. And I'm having hair envy like you wouldn't believe. Look how beautiful your hair is. All right, that's my last parting shot.
The end.